Hi friends, and welcome to this session on DI. In this we would look at some of the caselets and problems which appeared in previous year CSAT papers or various other papers of PCS and Bank PU. We would see three or four caselets rather in this particular video, and there would be few more caselets in upcoming videos. So without wasting any more time, let's go to case number 1, which is based on tables, right? So this was from CSAT, this year's CSAT, and this is a easy question, right? So it says the following table shows the marks obtained by two students in different subjects. The difference in the mean aggregate percentage, right? So even if you don't understand what is mean aggregate percentage, so you have to find the difference in aggregate percentage marks, right? Aggregate percentage marks of the student is what? So this is simple. You have to find the, so rather than me telling you the solution, let me give you around 1 minute to solve this, and then we'll do it together. So let us look how to approach this question, right? So we have to find percentage of each student. So student here A scored these many marks, and this was the maximum marks, right? Student B scored these many marks out of these maximum marks, right? So how to find percentage? Add these and add divided by this, right? So that would be the percentage. So it would be 60 plus 70 plus 50 plus 30. It would become 210, right? So it would be 210 divided by 100, 100, 100, 300, 350, right? So here this becomes what? So this is divisible by 7. This becomes 3 by 5 or 60%. So here your conversion of fractions into percentages and vice versa come very handy, right? So if you remember what is 3 by 5, you can very easily convert it into 60%. Right? That's why I keep on saying that you have to remember certain fractions and all that stuff. Now let's find this. So this becomes 80 plus 70 plus 60. So you can see the this is 70 plus 70 plus 70 essentially, right? So 210, all this becomes 210 plus 15, 225, right? So 225 divided by how much? 100, 100, 200 plus 150, 350, 375. So this is divisible by 25. This would give 9 divided by 15, or again it would be equal to 3/5, right? So both of them give same percentage, right? Which means the difference in the mean aggregate percentage is 0. So this was a throwaway question, not many calculation involved, and in less than 1 minute you could have achieved 2.5 marks, or rather it was, since it was 2014 CSAT, you would have achieved 2.75 marks by attempting this, right? So very simple throwaway question, don't require many concepts. So this is, I think, from a PCS exam. I don't remember which state's PCS, but this is production of fertilizers by 6 major companies from April to August, right? So production is given: company 1, company 2, company 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? This is followed. So before just looking at the data, it is always beneficial to go question by question and then look at the data, because this data is not making any sense for me without questions, right? So there are few numbers given, few months given, and few companies names given, but doesn't make any sense for me. So it's always better to look at the question and then come back to the data, right? So first question says, in which month does company 2 has a contribution of approximately 15% in total fertilizer production? So we have to now look at particularly companies 2 data, right? Company 2 has contribution of approximately 15% in total fertilizer production. So company 2 data is this one, right? So we have to find the month in which the contribution is approximately 15% of the total thing, right? So just take around 30 to 40 seconds to see whether it is possible or not and which month it is. So this is pretty simple, straightforward. We have to find the total, right, this way, and find the 15% of that total, right? So total can also be very easily, you don't have to add like this, you can add intelligently as well. So you can see this one, this is 180, this again is approximately 180, so 180 plus 180, 360, 360 plus 160 you can do, right? 360 plus 100 is 460, plus 60 is 520. 520, now you add this 150, this becomes 570, 670, right? So till this it becomes 670, and now you add 166, because you have added 180 here, you add 166 here, right? So this way you would get some total, and you have to find 15% of that total, right? And you would see that none of the contributions of April, May and June comes out to be 15%, right? So even if you don't want to calculate, what you can do is you can clearly see that the average is somewhere around 165, right? Somewhere around 165. So these are 5 things, right? So 165 would be something, what, 162 or 163 would be something 20%, right? It would be 20%, because there are 5 entries, right? And if 125 is the average, it would be 20%, right? So out of all these, 15% would be below 120, right? Sorry, 15% would be below 165. So only 2 options are left, 160 and 150. And even if you check them, 150 is outrightly rejected, because it is very low as compared to 165. So this is outrightly rejected. You have to just check for 160. And when you check for 160, it would not be 15%, it would be something around 17 or 18%. So the answer choice would be none of these. Next question says, in which company there is continuous increase in the production over the months? So 1, 2, 3, 4 is the options. Continuous increase, just check for 1, 310, 10, 318, 320, 326, 327. So obviously this is the right choice, right? So 1 is the right choice. In the month of June, how many companies has share of more than 25% of total production of that company? So this is a calculation intensive question, because you have to calculate for each company, right, and find which is more than 25%, right? So 2, 3, none, data inadequate. So obviously data is not inadequate, so D choice is gone. So D choice is gone. You have to just check which in month of June, right? which company has share of more than 25% in the production of the company, right? So just check, just calculate the total and 20% or 25% of that, right? So you have to check for each of the companies because we have to find the number of companies, right? So there is no other way out but to calculate, right? So this would take you around 1.5 minutes, but it's worth it, right? Because you have already devoted time, so it is worth it to calculate. So I've given you time, so you can do that. So let's see how to approach it. One way is to add all of this. So add this and find 25% and see whether this is 25 this is equal to that 25% or not. Or the other way is doing it without calculations, right? Let's see how to proceed without calculations. So if you see the data of each company is very near, right? So you can very easily find the average even without finding the total, right? So let's assume that average here in this case would be 320, right? So this is -2, this is -10, right? This is +6, this is +7, right? So +6 +7 -2 -10 would be how much? It would be +1. So approximately it is 320 only, right? The average of this group is 320. And why we are finding the average? Because total divided by 5 is average, right? So total divided by 5, it means average is what? 20% of the total, right? 20% of the total is average. Now we know that 20% of this month is what? It's approximately 320, right? So for company A, June is not 25%, right? So this is gone. Company A is gone. Similarly, we have already seen that this is approximately on an average 165. So this is also less than 25%. This is also gone. Now coming to this, you can again gauge that average would be approximately how much? It would be again let's take the average to be around 170, right? So this would be -1, or let's take it 180, right? Because 180 would make better sense. So -11, this would be -3, this would be +8, +7, +5, right? So -11 -14, right? This would become +15 +20, right? So 20 -14, 6. So average is approximately 181, right? So June is 188. So we have to check whether it is greater than 25%, right? So we know that total is 181. This is average. Total would be 5 times this, right? Into 5, and 25% would be how much? It would be 1/4 of this, right? So 1/4 of this would be 4 and 5.2, right? So 2 5s are 10, 5 5 is 25, 26. So 20 to 26. So it has to be approximately 226. 188 is less than 226, so even this is gone, right? Likewise you find for company 4, 5 and 6, right? The advantage here is things are very near, right? For example, for company 5, average you can see is approximately, it's greater than 135, right? So which means 135 is below 20%. So this is also gone. Here also you would see that average is approximately 130, 129, 130. So this is 130 would become 20% and not 25. So this is also gone. Here also you would see that average is approximately 172, 173 or something like that, right? You have to just check. So even this is gone, right? So even without calculating and finding the totals and finding 25% of that, you can do this question very easily and with reasonable correction, with reasonable accuracy, right? When you are using approximations in DI, which is very important to use, by the way, because you don't want to waste time in solving one question, so you have to use approximation. So when you use approximations, your efficiency or accuracy would be something around 90%. It cannot be 100%, but that's worth taking chance, right? 90% accuracy is very good if you are saving around 2 to 3 minutes. So you should work with approximations as far as possible, right? You don't need to calculate each and everything each time, right? So that's how we approach this. So answer would be none of these. So this was one of the PCS exams, and again a very throwaway question. You don't need to calculate much. You could have wasted around 5 to 10 minutes in solving this question if you start calculating, but you could have completed this question even in 4 minutes, all 3 questions rather in 4 minutes, if you do it intelligently, right? So I suggest that do it really intelligently, and it's not necessary to always calculate, right? So let's go to next set. So this is number of professors in selected disciplines in a university by sex, right? This is, I think, CSET 2013, right? So here we are given physics, male professors in physics, female professors in physics, and so on. And then the other chart is given age of physics professor. So between 35 to 44 age group, there are around 40%. 25 to 34, there are 30%. 45 to 59, 20%, and 60 to 65, there are 10%, right? So now these charts again do not make any sense without questions. So let's look into questions. Question 1 says, how many physics professors belong to age group of 35 to 44? So how many physics professors 35 to 44? It's 40%. And now we know the total number of physics professors as well from this chart, right? It would be how much? So this is approximately 32, this is approximately 8. So 32 plus 8, 40. So 40 is the total number of physics professors, out of which 40% are between 35 to 44. So 40% of 40, so 40 by 100 into 40. So this is the use of both the charts, right? Bar charts and pie charts. So this would be 16. In question paper, it was very clearly mentioned that they are 32, they are 8 and all that stuff. I plotted this chart in Excel, so this is not coming out to be very clear. Next question says, which subject has highest male to female ratio, right? So male to female ratio can be very easily found through this chart, right? So male is 32 and 8, so it would be 32 by 8. Similarly, you can find all this. There were options as well. So male to female ratio obviously would be high for this, this and this, right? Otherwise this, this and this would be in decimals because males are less than female, right? Here also you don't need to calculate, you have to just see the difference between these two, right? If the difference is great, the male to female ratio would be high, right? So just check the difference. So difference is highest in this case. So physics has the male to female ratio highest. What percentage of all psycho professors are females? So again 30 seconds for this. This can be easily done by this graph. So male are how many? 4, female are 6, total would be 10. So 6 by 10 is equal to 60%. So here the answer would be 60%. Again a very throwaway question, around 5 questions based on this set, which means more than 12.5 marks, which can be easily scored in less than around 7 minutes, 5-7 minutes, right? So this is what I call seaters, right? Questions which can be very easily done and which would be almost 99% correct. What percentage of psycho profs are female? We have done this, right? So this one is slightly complicated, the only complicated question in this. If the number of female professors in the age group of 25 to 33 is 25% of all the physics professor at that age group, then what is the percentage, what is the number of male physics profs in that age group? So in 25 to 33, 25% are females and 75% are males, right? This is 25% and 75% are male. We have to find the number of male profs. So 25 to 33, here we have taken 34, right? So this is 30% of all the profs. We know the total number of physics profs were 40, so 30% of 40 is 12, and we have to find 75% of 12 again 75% is 3/4, so 3/4 of 12 would be how much? It would be 9. Simple, right? So without writing, without even writing anything on your sheet, you can easily do it and you can come up with an answer which is 9. If psycho professors constitute 2% of total profs in the university, find the total number of profs. Obviously this is very easy. We know the total number of profs of psycho. We have already found that they are 10. So 10 is equal to 2%. Then how many total profs are there? So 10 is equal to 2%. How many total are there? It would be 2% of total, so total would be 500, right? It cannot get easier than this, right? So if you get this wrong, then this means there is seriously some issue with your solving skills, right? So it cannot get easier than this. I hope that you understood how to use approximation, where to use approximation. It's not necessary to calculate every time. You can easily do away with calculations wherever possible and save your time. So the basic funda of DI is the questions are easy, right? CSAT questions are really easy. It's not very tough. The only funda is to save as much time as possible, and that can be done by using approximations very intelligently. Again, remember the percentage to decimal, percentage to fraction conversion, and vice versa, fraction to percentage conversion as well, because it would come very handy. So in the next video we would do 3 or 4 caselets more, so that you become confident of how to use approximations, how to use data in a way so that your calculations are becomes easy and you do not waste too much time solving these sets. So this is all for this video. I hope that you learned something from this, and I wish you all the best for your preparations.